This was it. The reconnaissance team was on mission to bring back actionable intelligence about the land ahead. They blended in as best they could and began to gather information about the enemy's fortifications, how many they would expect to see in battle, and who their chief warriors were. They were also getting information about the land to see if it was truly as rich and fertile as they had been promised. More than a month passed before the 12-man team returned carrying some of the oversized produce of the land and began to give the report. Yes, the land is abundant and rich, but we can't attack. The people are just far too strong. The descendants of Anak are in the land, and we're like grasshoppers to them. Those words, laced with fear and with the expectation of defeat and despair, changed the course of a nation. Those 10 spies die with ever having set foot in the land again. Them and all their families and the rest of the nation, except for Caleb and Joshua and their families, never got to experience the promise that God had for them. You can read about it in Numbers chapter 33. Today's daily dose is words of life. In Proverbs 18:21, it says, "Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." What a great gift we've been given, but also what a responsibility. Each day we have the opportunity to either give life or tear down, to build up or to wreck and destroy. Our words can bring light and truth and motivation and faith and comfort and hope, or we can attack and criticize, bring fear and despair and lies and doubt. It's a choice. We will choose many times a day to either bring words of encouragement or to bring words that tear down. In James 3:5, referring to our words, it says, "How great a forest is set on fire, but such a small flame." Our mouth, being so small, can do so much destruction so quickly. And how long it takes to regrow the damage. I've heard people excuse their brutal mistreatment of others with, "Well, I just lost my temper," or "She made me so mad." As if our cruel words are okay if we had a frustrating situation happen just before. It's like, what? Step back and hear yourself and take account of what you're saying. I say brutal, mean things if I'm not happy inside, and that makes it okay? No, it doesn't. Jesus made it clear in Matthew chapter 15, verse 18. It says, "Our words come from what's within our heart, not from our circumstances. They don't make us do anything." Ouch. It's what's within us. Out of our hearts we speak. Let's right here, right now, be honest with ourselves. Our personal unhappy moments are no excuse to mistreat others. I'm not throwing any stones. I have personally wounded people terribly with my words. I think most of us have. In James, going back to James 3 and verse 2, it says, "We all stumble in many ways. If anyone doesn't stumble in what he says, he's a perfect man, able to rein in his entire body." Our words, they're an indicator of the Christ-like maturity that's in our life. If we, under the power and the presence of the Spirit, continually control our words, then our whole life is in order. In Proverbs chapter 12, verse 18, it says, "There are men who speak rashly, like the thrusts of a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing." Ephesians 4:29, it says, "Do not let a single unwholesome word come out of your mouth, but only a word that's good for edification, according to the need of the moment, that it will give grace to those who hear." Sometimes this even includes giving a word of correction. to someone else within the body. And how do we do that? Well, Galatians chapter 6 says, he who is spiritual with a spirit of gentleness, bring that word of correction. We honor those people. We give them respect, even in the midst of that. This is the standard God has set for us. No unwholesome and cruel and mean words. So what do we do now? What do we do once we've blown it? Or when we blow it, perhaps? I'm going to suggest that making a statement like, I'm sorry I said those things, well, that's a good start. But it doesn't regrow the damage, does it? There's a principle seldom taught in Scripture called restitution. You can read about it in Exodus 21. God taught Moses that if you injure someone or even their animal, that person was responsible to pay the injured person to help restore some of the loss. And in Luke 19, we see Zacchaeus saying the same thing to Jesus. It says, if I defrauded anyone of their, in their taxes, I will repay it. In a similar way, I'm just suggesting, if possible, go back and repay the injured person with words of life and truth and encouragement. I said this and it was mean, it was wrong. This is the truth. Especially if it's someone in your families, someone we work with. Even write yourself a reminder. Make a little note to go back and begin speaking truth in life and make that a habit, a new habit in your life. It will not only change and bring healing to the other people, it will change us. Everyone we speak with will begin to speak that life will be coming out of us. In May 1940, Germany attacked France and Holland and Belgium with an overwhelming force that the Europeans couldn't fathom standing up against. At that exact time, Winston Churchill became Prime Minister of England. In that desperate moment, Churchill addressed the English House of Commons. Here's a few lines from what he said. What is our policy? I can say it, to wage war by sea, land, and air with all of our might and with all the strength that God has given us. Against this monstrous tyranny, never surpassed in the lamentable catalog of human crime. What is our aim? I can answer that in a word: victory. Victory at all costs, victory in spite of all terror, and victory however long and hard the road that may be before us. Winston Churchill inspired a nation and eventually the whole world to stand up against the insurmountable odds when the rest of Europe was collapsing and surrendering. One man spoke words of life and faith, and it changed the course of history. I'm not sure any of us will ever change the course of an entire nation, but we can certainly change the direction of our families, of our small groups and our friendship circles, the companies that we work at, and especially this church. Let's each speak more words of hope, courage, truth, and life. Thank you.